I need to whiten these teeth. They're very Cornish. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Crue Trime. Crue Trime, Crue Trime, Crue Trime! If you are new here, hello and welcome. My name is Sarah, and what I do here is tell you a terrible story to
ruin your day.
And put on my makeup while I do it. So if that sounds like a fun combination to you, you are in the right place. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, turn on all of the notifications, and then that way you will never miss one of my uploads. You guys, Orenthal James Simpson, aka OJ, aka The Juice, has died at age 76.
I heard Juice, it's on every channel.
Having suffered from cancer in recent years, he passed away in the company of his children and his grandchildren. He was a Heisman Trophy winner, a National Football League Hall of Famer, NFL record holder, television and film actor, product spokesman, sports commentator, best-selling author, serial cheater, woman abuser, acquitted murderer, kidnapper, and armed robber. So, Renaissance man. I think we all know the story of the trial of the century, so I'm not going to get too far in the weeds about that. But there's still a lot of crime and legal troubles to talk about, so let's get to it. This is the story of O.J. Simpson. Before I get too far ahead, if you're interested to know any of the products that I'm using, because I don't really feature them or talk about them as we're going along, but I do list them all down below in the description box. So Orenthal James Simpson was born on July 9th, 1947 in San Francisco, California, to Eunice and Jimmy Lee Simpson. Eunice worked as an administrator at a mental health hospital, and Jimmy worked many jobs ranging from cook to custodian to drag queen. Did you guys know that? Apparently, after Eunice and Jimmy separated when OJ was young, like 4 years old, Jimmy actually came out of the closet as a gay man and became a very well-known drag performer in the Bay Area. Jimmy passed away in 1986, and his obituary says that he died of cancer, but there are many reports that say that he died from complications of AIDS. OJ and his siblings grew up in a low-income neighborhood in San Francisco, and OJ had health issues as a child that caused his legs to be weak, and he had to wear braces on his legs. Now, growing up in the PJs, OJ got caught up in gang activity and street hustling.
You're nothing but a damn lying hustler.
He did a little bit of time in juvenile detention, but once he found football, everything changed. After he graduated from high school in 1965, OJ enrolled at a local city college, and he played football, and he was named to the junior college All-American team. Now that caught the eye of some larger schools that were seeking transfer students, and that's how he landed at the University of Southern California, or the University of Spoiled Children, depending on who you ask. While in college, OJ got married on June 24th, 1967, to his high school sweetheart, Marguerite Whitley. Over the next couple of years, together they had 3 children, Arnell, Jason, and Aaron. And Aaron actually sadly drowned in the family swimming pool as a toddler. OJ finished up at USC and then found himself the #1 draft pick for the Buffalo Bills in 1969. Murray! Look who's here today, guys. Hi, Murray. He says hi. Guess Murray's just gonna join us for this one. So the very married OJ was playing professional football and enjoying a lot of success. And he was out one evening in 1977 at a Beverly Hills nightclub called The Daisy. This is where he met a stunningly beautiful waitress named Nicole Brown. This was around the same time frame where his youngest son was born, Aaron, for context. Well, OJ and Nicole started dating, and then OJ left his family and divorced Marguerite the same year that little Aaron drowned in the swimming pool. So OJ's football career was going great, despite the Buffalo Bills not necessarily being like the top team during that time. So OJ never went to the Super Bowl or got any rings or titles, but he did set records nearly every year that he was on the roster. But as the years went on, his knees started to give him trouble, and he would eventually retire after the 1979 season, having played about 10 years. I feel like that's pretty average, right, for an NFL career, 10 years? Now, OJ was immensely immensely popular, and not just for his gameplay in the NFL, but in the media landscape. So after retiring from the gridiron, OJ worked as a sports commentator. Naturally. He also had a lot of very lucrative endorsement deals, most famously with Hertz rental cars. Now, having a little bit of experience from back in his college days at USC, he appeared in 1974's Towering Inferno and the Naked Gun trilogy, the comedies, among other, TV and movie appearances. In 1975, People magazine reported that O.J. Simpson was the first black athlete to become a bona fide, lovable media superstar. And the transition to the entertainment business was a pretty natural one, because O.J. was very well liked, very charismatic, charming, very handsome, and pretty free from controversy. He actually made it a point to avoid politics or any kind of social activism or focus on race. And not that those things aren't important or weren't important to him, but he didn't want to get caught up in it for controversy's sake. Does that make sense? Celebrity was about being likable, marketable, profitable, and he turned into the kind of celebrity that the American people loved. O.J. Simpson transcended sports and class and race. He was just O.J. So 5 years after leaving the NFL, on February 2nd, 1985, O.J. and Nicole got married. Over the years, they had 2 kids, Sydney and Justin, but their relationship was volatile. By the end of 1989, the police had been called to their home at least 8 times for domestic violence calls. Nicole's face and body would be badly bruised, but the police were so charmed with the juice that they never arrested him.
He's never going to stop being the juice.
On New Year's Eve that year, Nicole called the police, saying that she was afraid that O.J. was going to kill her. That incident finally resulted in O.J. being charged with spousal abuse, and he pled no contest. He received 2 years probation and 120 hours of community service, and the couple later released a joint statement to the press saying that their marriage was as strong as the day they were married, if not stronger. I mean, toxic, right? They would fight, break up, reconcile, get back together, fight, break up, reconcile, rinse, repeat. Just maddening. In late February of 1992, Nicole finally had enough and filed for divorce from O.J. I mean, not only was he beating the shit out of her on a regular basis, but he was forever cheating on her. One of the last straws, I guess, was Nicole finding out about O.J. carrying on this long-time affair with music video model Tawny Katane. Oh yeah. I mean, apparently it was totally fine for him to do whatever the fuck he wanted, but, he would threaten Nicole that he would kill her if he ever found her with anyone else. So in total, there were 62 incidents of abusive behavior by O.J. toward Nicole. And that's just what was documented. But remember what I said. O.J. was like America's sweetheart, essentially. The bubble of celebrity that was around O.J. gave him the protection from legal responsibility and criticism. No matter what happened with Nicole privately or publicly. Even after Nicole and O.J. divorced, they were still very much in each other's lives, co-parenting and all that, and the violence continued. It actually got worse. I mean, O.J. had certainly moved on to other women, of course, but he was so jealous and possessive of Nicole that her dating anyone else, even just the perception of her dating anyone else, caused arguments and confrontations. Not only that, he stalked Nicole and regularly would spy on her. This intimidation kept Nicole kind of under his thumb and anyone who wanted to be around her away. So fast forward 2 years after O.J. and Nicole divorced after 7 years of marriage, on Sunday, June 12th, 1994, shortly after midnight, 35-year-old Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend, 25-year-old Ron Goldman, were found both brutally stabbed to death. They were found in the walkway leading up to Nicole's home in Brentwood, California. They had been killed just hours before, sometime that Saturday night. And I'm skimming over a lot of those details because we've all heard them and they're also fucking terrible. Considering OJ's history of violence with Nicole and the fact that he was actually with her earlier that day at their daughter's dance recital, he almost immediately became a person of interest and he was questioned by investigators. So on Tuesday the 14th, OJ hired Robert Shapiro to assemble a team of lawyers to defend him, and he has maintained his innocence since day one.
Sure, Jan.
So again, skimming over the details, once the investigators had compared evidence that they found at OJ's home and at the crime scene, specifically blood and bloody gloves, the investigators were squinting at him. OJ attended Nicole's funeral on Thursday the 16th with their 2 young children. The fucking balls on this dude. On the day after Nicole's funeral, June 17th, 1994, O.J. Simpson was formally charged with the murders of Nicole and Ron. O.J.'s lawyer, well, his lead one anyways, Robert Shapiro, was notified that morning, and he made arrangements to have O.J. surrender to the police before noon. Now, why didn't the police just go arrest him, you ask? Well, because he was so famous, the police and his lawyers, convinced them that he would never attempt to flee.
In the business, we call this foreshadowing.
But what happened next? OJ didn't show up. Well, now they're gonna have to arrest him, right? So they went to the house where OJ was staying at the time, lawyer and BFF Robert Kardashian's house. Yes, that Kardashian. So the police get there. OJ's obviously not there, but he did leave 3 sealed envelopes.
There was a note.
Now, the letters inside were not explicitly suicide notes, but yeah, they were.
So it was a bad note.
He was saying stuff like, "Don't feel sorry for me, I've had a good life, remember the OJ that you loved, blah blah blah." OJ was officially a fugitive. Anyway, the juice was loose. And then began the iconic white Ford Bronco chase heard round the world. Seen round the world. Is that the right way to use that? I remember this playing out on live TV. Don't you? I was in 8th grade. Well, it was like the summer before 8th grade. Was it? Anyway. Doesn't matter. You need to remember that this happened in the days before the 24-hour news cycle. CNN had definitely been around since like the early 80s, but they were pretty much the only all news all the time network of the day. So this slow speed Bronco chase went on for like 2 hours, and it was covered on literally every TV network. The shit was wild, you guys. Traffic on the freeway stopped. Crowds gathered, people held up signs, "Go OJ, run OJ." They were cheering as OJ drove by, followed by this mob of police vehicles. And that was just the start of the media attention for this case. At the end of it, OJ Simpson was apprehended peacefully, and inside the Bronco was $8,000 in cash, a change of clothes, a loaded handgun, family pictures, a passport, and a disguise, like fake facial hair. Pretty interesting choices for somebody who claims to be totally innocent. Well, OJ wanted a speedy trial, so it happened pretty quickly. On November 9th, 1994, it got going, and it went on for almost a year. So much for speedy trial, I guess. The trial was televised, and everyone watched it. It was a staple in late night talk show monologues. It was parodied on SNL.
Well, it is finally official. Murder is legal in the state of California.
It was the most riveting soap opera with an incredible cast of characters. Like, the defense was called the Dream Team. The lead prosecutor, Marcia Clark, got a makeover halfway through the trial because of, media attention. The judge was unintentionally hilarious. And by the end of it, the defense had successfully convinced the jury that the police were racist and crooked, and that they'd planted evidence to frame OJ, and they couldn't trust the evidence or the investigation. Fuck the police! And the jury deliberated for 4 whole hours. After almost a year. They returned a verdict on October 3rd, 1995.
Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson.
Hang on a second. Rewind. Look at Robert Kardashian's face. Gooped. Well, America was divided by this verdict. Some people celebrated. Some people were stunned and frustrated. But here's the thing about the Bronco chase and the trial and the verdict. It happened just a short 3 years after Rodney King was beat up by 4 racist, crooked LAPD officers who walked away scot-free. And that was just one hugely publicized example of the kind of injustice, abuse, and systemic racism that Black Americans were suffering every day. Still suffering, unfortunately. So a pretty substantial amount of people believed that OJ was innocent. But on the other hand, a lot of people also believed that he 100% did it.
Let's just, to hell with all this. OJ killed both them people.
When OJ was acquitted, it wasn't that people were happy that he got away with murder. It was more that OJ, a representation of the Black community, somebody who had made it, who was embraced by and adored by middle America, white America, and had scored a win for like Black culture as a whole. There's an excellent article from the Washington Post, I'll link it down below, that explains how many African Americans believed that it was a revenge verdict. It was a win for Black people in response to so many others that Black people had lost. I mean, in my opinion, those cops were racist and crooked. Fuck the police! And OJ killed those fucking people.
He killed everybody over there.
Both things can be true. Anyway, so O.J. Simpson was found not guilty of murder. Vindicated. I mean, he should be able to go back to just living his life, right? Maybe he would choose to retreat from the public and live a quiet, private life. Spoiler alert, he definitely did not do that. O.J. very much enjoyed the fame and accolades and adoration, the celebrity status that, people gave to him. Also, he proclaimed to be 100% innocent, so okay. Anyway, so a year after the criminal trial, Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown's families filed a civil suit against OJ for wrongful death. During the trial, OJ testified for 3 days straight. He firmly denied having anything to do with the murders, and when confronted with pictures of Nicole's abused, bruised face, he said that he, quote, imposed his physical will by shoving her around. It's a very interesting way to put that. OJ was also caught in more than a few lies and mistruths in his testimony, and he insisted on taking a polygraph test that he bombed the shit out of. You know how I feel about polygraph tests. Don't take them. With the defense's side not being able to discuss anything about racial issues or the LAPD's shady dealings, there was less opportunity for distraction or misdirection. And on February 5th, 1997, the jury unanimously found O.J. Simpson liable for the wrongful death and battery against Ron and Nicole. O.J. was ordered to pay $33.5 million doll hairs in damages. His net worth at the time was only around $11 million. I mean, that's it for him, right? Not if he had a good accountant. And he did. The lion's share of OJ's assets were contained in trust funds, specifically spendthrift trusts. What those do is they limit the access to the money, even by OJ. He's essentially not allowed to spend it at all, but after a certain amount of time, it starts paying him in the form of a pension. And because it's a trust fund, the government and creditors can't touch it. Because it's not a normal bank account. Also, OJ collected an annual pension from the NFL and from the Screen Actors Guild and some other things, but those were also protected from seizure. So yes, OJ owed substantial legal damages, and whatever assets he had were at risk, like his home and cars and property, but he had an untouchable bankroll that would keep him well above water for the rest of his life. After the civil case, OJ defaulted on the mortgage of his home that he had lived in for the last 20 years, and the property was foreclosed on. The courts then went after his assets. So a collection of his memorabilia and other belongings was auctioned, including, but not limited to, his Heisman Trophy, which fetched like $230,000 alone. Now that sale produced about $500,000, but all that money was just a drop in the bucket. OJ later moved to the lawless swamp of Florida, because of course he did. You guys know I'm like a Florida hater. Sorry, Floridians. OJ had that untouchable pension, and his new home in the Sunshine State was protected under Florida state laws. So the courts couldn't seize it, and he had no other significant assets. In the late 90s, OJ attempted to trademark his name, O.J. Simpson, the Juice, for the purpose of various goods like figurines, trading cards, merchandise. A concerned citizen sued to block the trademark, saying that it was immoral and scandalous.
It's like he's not really the juice anymore.
In the early 2000s, after this civil trial and the criminal trial and all that, OJ was just sort of trying to move on with his life. And some might say that he was being hassled for no reason, that he was just being bothered as like revenge, whatever, I don't know. But it seems like he couldn't just like lay low and be cool. In February of 2001, he was charged in a road rage incident. It was later dismissed. I mean, like if his lawyers could get him out of murder but not out of road rage, that's kind of an issue. In December of 2001, his Florida home was raided, looking for drugs and money laundering. No evidence of any of that was found, but they did find some equipment that indicated that he was stealing satellite TV service. OJ. In 2002, he was charged with and later fined for a speeding infraction where he violated this manatee protection zone, like in a boat. And in March 2004, that pirated satellite TV service shenanigans caught up with him, and DirecTV actually sued him, and he had to pay them like $25,000. So in 2006, OJ decided to get in on the dozens of books that were written about the murders, and he wrote his own and planned to call it If I Did It. The book was meant to give his account of how he would hypothetically have killed Ron and Nicole. This fucking guy, I cannot. The public was disgusted, of course, and the Goldman family was like, my dude, no. They threw a flag on the play. Sports reference. They blocked the book. Remember, OJ owed them a grip, and they had a stake in anything that was going to generate money that was owed to them. So a bankruptcy court later awarded control of the manuscript to the Goldmans, and they didn't block the book, but instead they retitled it, If I Did It, semicolon, Confessions of a Killer. And it went on to be a New York Times bestseller, because of course it did. Nicole's family profited from the book as well, but her sister publicly denounced it as blood money, which she's not wrong. Pretty fucking gross, actually. Then, on the evening of September 13th, 2007, O.J. Simpson found himself in hot water again. This time, he had gotten some information that some of his lost sports memorabilia was going to be in Las Vegas. And OJ was planning to be in Las Vegas for a wedding, so he gathered up a few of his friends to come with him to the Palace Station to get the items back. Not buy the items. Get the items. I mean, in OJ's view, these things had been wrongfully stolen from him. Based on a civil judgment for a murder he was acquitted of. So OJ colluded with this friend, who was another memorabilia dealer, to arrange a meeting to view the items with the other dealers who had the items, not knowing that the potential buyer was the O.J. Simpson. O.J. led the group of accomplices to this hotel room. Then O.J. told one of the accomplices to pull out a gun to control the situation. Nobody move, nobody's leaving. Then O.J. and pals stuffed all of the memorabilia into pillowcases like little trick-or-treaters. And they, left and went back to their hotel. The whole thing lasted under 10 minutes. Now, the dirtiest part of this whole thing was that the friend who told OJ about the items even being in Las Vegas secretly recorded the whole thing and then sold the audio recording to TMZ for $150,000.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So OJ Simpson landed back in court again. This time he was charged with armed robbery and kidnapping, among other charges. Kidnapping, you say? Like, what do you mean kidnapping? He didn't take anybody anywhere. Well, when you hold people against their will by gunpoint, kidnapping. He was ordered to not make any contact with any of the co-defendants, to which he immediately violated the order. Not a great start with the judge, but she gave very explicit instructions to the jury that was assigned to the case to not consider the murder trial, the civil trial, any of that stuff.
People don't forget.
So the audio recording of the incident was played in the trial, and you can clearly hear OJ saying, "Don't let anybody out of the room." Now, OJ maintains that he did not realize that anything that he was doing was not lawful. He was not intending to break the law. He wasn't trying to rob anybody. He was just trying to get his stuff back.
Okay.
Long story short, on October 3rd, 2008, the jury found O.J. Simpson guilty on all charges, and he was sentenced to a maximum of 33 years in prison, with parole possible after 9 years. He was incarcerated for 9 years at the Lovelock Correctional Center until October 1st, 2017, when he was released at age 70. After prison, O.J. elected to stay in Las Vegas. His home in Miami had been foreclosed on when he was in prison. He took up residency in a gated golf community, focusing the majority of his time playing golf, flitting about the casinos on the Strip, attending shows, and hosting VIP events. With a solid 25 years between him and the murder trial, OJ was back to enjoying celebrity status in Las Vegas and spending time with his kids and grandkids. In May of 2023, O.J. Simpson revealed that he was suffering from cancer and was undergoing chemotherapy treatments. He continued to make regular posts on social media, appearing in videos in high spirits, and claiming that he was doing great.
My health is good. I mean, obviously I'm dealing with some issues, but hey, I think I'm just about over it, and I'll be back on that golf course, hopefully in a couple of weeks.
But about a year after that cancer announcement, last week, on April 10th, 2024, OJ's family announced that he was gone. He was 76 years old. So the Goldman and Brown families and other creditors lined up to collect the remainder of the damages owed to them by OJ's estate. Reports say that OJ's will specifically lists his 4 surviving children as beneficiaries, and any other who seeks to challenge the provision of the will, quote, receive $1 and no more in lieu of any claimed interest in this will or its assets.
None for Gretchen Wieners. Bye.
The Goldmans have maintained that their relentless pursuit of the money awarded from the civil lawsuit isn't about the money. It's about holding O.J. Simpson responsible for the death of their son. And that, my friends, is the story of O.J. Simpson. If you're interested to know any of the makeup that I used in today's look, then just look down in the description box because I have everything linked if I used anything that is unavailable. I don't think I did this time, actually, for once. If so, I'll find you something similar. If you have a Crue Trime story that you want to recommend to me, look down in the description box for a link to the Google document where you can go fill out all of the dirty details. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for hanging out today and for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this one, then consider subscribing to this channel before you leave today. I upload new videos here on YouTube every week, and you can follow me on all of the other socials as well. That is it for now. I will catch you next time in the next video. Bye! Oh my god, there's been a big old booger in my nose this whole time. Thanks for telling me. July. Nope, wasn't July. I have the windows open upstairs and it is so loud. I need to exfoliate. I did not wet my sponge. Ugh. Trophy winner. God damn it, Murray.